Y'all, thank you for coming. As you see, there's evidence of the hurricane out there right now. Welcome. This is Josie McDaniel Burkett, who is signing for us for a prayer call on Major General Van McCarty, the National Guard. General?
If you would pray with me in your tradition of worship, if I pray in mine. Dear Heavenly Father, as we stand here today, we know that Hurricane Dorian is pressing down on the state of South Carolina and the east coast of the United States, and we know that it is currently over the Bahamas now. And we would just ask that you would be with those who are affected by this storm or who may be in the path of its danger, that you would strengthen them and comfort them through your word and through your actions. And Lord, that we would ask those who are in positions of leadership, may you give them the strength and the wisdom to make decisions that are appropriate to help safeguard the citizens of this great state as we work through this time of danger. Lord, we ask for your prayers and you ask for your comfort in this day and this day forward. In your name we humbly pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, General. Now, John Quairillo, National Weather Service, for the forecast, please.
Thank you, Governor. Good evening. There's a potential for Hurricane Dorian to bring significant impacts to parts of South Carolina on Wednesday and Thursday. As of the 5 p.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center, Dorian was still a catastrophic Category 5 hurricane with winds of over 185 miles an hour over the northwest Bahamas. After nearing the east coast of Florida Monday night into Tuesday, Dorian will lift northward with the latest Hurricane Center forecast still indicating that Dorian will pass just off the South Carolina coast late Wednesday and Thursday. Weaker than it currently is, but still is a powerful hurricane. There's an increasing potential for strong winds and dangerous storm surge along the South Carolina coast. In addition, there's a flash flood threat, mainly near the coast, where rainfall amounts of 6 to 10 inches or more are possible. It can't be stressed enough that the track could change, and any shift to the left would bring the core of Dorian near the coast, along with more significant impacts. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Well, as we get started, we have some important announcements to make. And this is a very serious hurricane, 185 miles an hour, gusts up to 220 miles an hour. That's the strongest, the largest in modern history, certainly the strongest any of us around today have seen. And with these announcements, we know that we cannot make everybody happy, but we believe that we can keep everyone alive. And that's why we're taking the steps that I'm getting ready to announce that we believe will protect the lives and property of people in South Carolina. Tropical force winds from Hurricane Dorian are expected to arrive in South Carolina by 8 o'clock a.m., 8 o'clock in the morning, this Wednesday morning. Based on the latest forecast and storm track, which we have been following very carefully, and after extensive consultation with local county emergency management officials and those you see here today, I'm issuing a mandatory evacuation starting at noon on Monday, September 2nd. Starting at noon on Monday, September the 2nd, for the following evacuation zones in the following counties. And if you have your evacuation manual, your storm manual, hurricane guide, and you can see it on the screen there, it is in this book, which is distributed widely around the state. I will read it out and you can see the colors. Those that are colored are the zones that must be evacuated starting at noon tomorrow, Monday, September the 2nd. They are Jasper County, we're starting at the south and going up. Zone A, which is red. In Beaufort, it's all of Beaufort County. And again, anything you see colored is an evacuation zone that we're activating. Beaufort, it's all of Beaufort County. Colleton County, Zone A, which is red, Zone B, which is yellow. Charleston County, it's all of Charleston County. Berkeley County, it's Zone B, which is shown in yellow, and Zone G, which is shown in pink. In Dorchester County, it is Zone D, which is in blue. In Georgetown County, it is Zone A, which is in red. And in Horry County, it is Zone A, which is also in red. Now, of course, the hurricane will be moving up the coast, and some may say, why issue the evacuation order all at the same time for the whole coast? And that is because there's only a few hours of difference, marginal differences, that therefore the one time is the right time to issue. Point number 2, schools and government offices. I'm issuing a second executive order closing all schools and state government offices in the following counties. This is starting Tuesday a.m., September the 3rd. This is for the entire day on Tuesday, not tomorrow, Monday. School's not in on Labor Day. They're starting Tuesday morning, all day, September the 3rd, for the entire day. They are in these counties for schools and state government offices: Jasper, Beaufort, Colleton, Charleston, Berkeley, Dorchester, Georgetown, and Horry. And again, that starts Tuesday, September 3rd, and they will remain closed how long? Until further notice. For the Midlands, where many schools are used as shelters, any decisions on school and state government office closings there will be made when, and will be announced and made when and if necessary. Number 3, lane reversals. Lane reversals. Evacuation lane reversals will begin in Beaufort County on U.S. Highway 278, which leaves Hilton Head Island starting at noon. Again, noon Monday, September the 2nd. That's tomorrow, noon. Tolls on the Cross Island Parkway will be suspended beginning at noon on Monday, September the 2nd. As for I-26, tomorrow is Labor Day, Monday, September the 2nd. This is usually a heavy traffic day with tourists leaving the coast from the Charleston area. When you add to this traffic the residents evacuating pursuant to this hurricane, that will create a recipe for gridlock or worse. We do not want people to be stuck on the highway. Typically, the gridlock would occur between where I-26 heading from Charleston to Columbia intersects with I-95. From there on, we typically have very slow traffic and non-moving traffic on normal days. We expect it to be much worse tomorrow with this evacuation. For that reason, lane reversal for I-26 west from Charleston to Columbia will begin at noon on Monday, September 2nd. That is noon Monday, September 2nd. That is when it will be closed so that traffic leaving from the Charleston area can move all the way up unimpeded on both sides of the road. Secretary Hall and Director Smith will provide additional details about that. Any decisions, if any, about other lane reversals in the Grand Strand, the PD, or anywhere else will be made and announced as needed, and the public will be alerted in plenty of time. Finally, number 3, medical evacuations. I've also issued an executive order, the third one, requiring medical facilities like nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and hospitals to immediately begin the transport of their residents and patients from the areas that we have ordered to be evacuated. At this time, I call on General McCarty.
Thank you, Governor. The soldiers and airmen of the South Carolina National Guard, in addition to our State Guard, are in position now to support the Department of Public Safety, Department of Transportation, and SLED in an orderly and safe evacuation of the affected area as described by the Governor. In addition, we're also partnering with our other state entities and federal entities to ensure that we're prepared to execute any follow-on missions by identifying resources that may be necessary at that point, either from the state or federal level, to have them positioned and ready to be deployed as necessary. We will continue to monitor the situation, and we will again encourage, as we do, our soldiers and airmen to make the necessary preparations yourself for this storm, so that we can get through it as minimally impacted as we possibly can. So Thank you.
Thank you, General Secretary Christy Hall, Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Governor. DOT has well north of 2,200 employees tasked with planning and responding to this hurricane. We've been very busy over the last several days moving our assets down to the affected areas and in preparation for the possible reversals, or the reversals as we have them planned now. We have been very actively monitoring traffic flows in the state as well as through the state, coordinating with our partners in Florida and Georgia so that we understand what their traffic flows are as well. We've been working very closely with the Department of Public Safety for the last several days on deploying additional resources already to the I-26 and I-95 corridors to help keep traffic moving in advance of the evacuation here in the state, and that's worked very well for us so far. As the Governor mentioned, we already are aware that I-26 typically becomes congested during the Labor Day holiday, and so it's very prudent that we implement the reversal as he has ordered on I-26 to make sure that we are able to effectively move traffic from the Charleston region up through the Midlands of the state to get our folks and our visitors to safety. We continue to work very closely with DPS on that plan and other plans as needed, and we will adapt as required in order to keep things moving. Thank you,
Thank you very
Governor.
much. Director Smith, Department of Public Safety.
Thank you, Governor. As I stated earlier, the Department of Public Safety has 2,785 law enforcement and National Guard personnel assigned to emergency support function 16 for evacuations. Our evacuations will include staffing local regional evacuation routes as well as lane reversal operations. We will either staff or monitor over 700 traffic control points within the 3 regions. Also would like to talk about the lane reversal routes. There are 2 that we are focusing in on right now. The first will be in the largest I-26 corridor from the Charleston area to Columbia, and the second lane reversal will be US 278 in the Hilton Head area. So with respect to the lane reversal, we're going to have, as the Governor mentioned too, we're really going to have a large-scale type of evacuation. And we want to maximize the use of all lanes. We have them there. We want to maximize the use of all lanes. So we are using, as you heard earlier, a concept called lane reversals. That means that all travel lanes on I-26 from Charleston to Columbia will proceed in the same direction, headed away from the threatened area. This is a way to handle additional anticipated traffic as people leave the coastal area. In short, our operation will move as many people or evacuees away from the threatened area as quickly but safely as possible. So how do we implement a lane reversal? We have an ingress, that's the beginning, and we have an egress, that's the ending. The beginning part is where we will load the actual vehicles on the reverted side. So how do we clear the eastbound lanes of I-26 to get the vehicles on the reverted side? We use a technique we call flush. We will flush the eastbound lanes of I-26. The flushing procedure will start in Columbia, although we will load the I-26 reverted route in Charleston. We would flush it from the Columbia area. So the troopers, once they get in position on I-26 in the Columbia area at the interchange of I-77, if the vehicles are in front of the trooper vehicles, they get a free ride to Charleston. However, if the vehicles are behind the trooper vehicle, those vehicles, once we start the flushing phase, those vehicles would be detoured off at either US 321 or I-77 North. Now, once we give the order to deploy assets, that means probably right around 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, about 5 a.m., once we give the order to deploy assets, again, if you're on I-26 eastbound, you're fine. But once we deploy those assets, no more vehicles can get onto I-26. eastbound because we will be starting the flushing process. So how do we push those vehicles south or east, if you will, once we start flushing? Once the trooper vehicle passes an intersection, exit ramp, we will deny access to that entrance ramp for that intersection in question. And we'll just kind of walk it down. Once we pass the next intersection, we will secure the entrance ramp to that particular to the interstate. And we'll just continue this flushing process until we get to the Charleston area at the I-526 interchange. Once the flush vehicles have cleared the I-26 eastbound side, working with our partners, whether it's DNR, Civil Air Patrol, SLED, we would do flyovers to make sure that the reverted side is clear. Once we've ascertained that the reverted side is clear, the first vehicles onto the reverted side will be the Highway Patrol vehicles. And they'll get onto the reverted side and they'll bring the vehicles back up to the Columbia area. So how do we load that the reverted side? From the I-26 interchange, there are crossovers there where we build, where DOT build, where we can get vehicles onto the reverted side. Also College Park Road, Ashley Phosphate, and US 71, we could load the reverted side from those areas as well. Once the vehicles get onto the reverted side, if they get off, they're going to have to return to the normal westbound lanes of I-26. Now, once they're on the reverted side, there are 8 exits that they could get off for gas, whatever. But once they're off of the reverted side, they have to return on the regular westbound lanes. We want to give priority to the folks coming from the coastal region and have them a clear shot to Columbia. If you're on the regular westbound sides of I-26, there will be 14 exits that you will have an opportunity to get off for gas, restaurant, etc. So once we got the lane reversal set up, we got the vehicles going in the opposite direction, well, on the opposite side of the roadway, how do we bring those vehicles back to the regular side, the westbound sides of I-26? Well, here in the Columbia area, the I-77 interchange, we have a crossover. And if you're traveling on the westbound lanes of I-26, you would be forced off to I-77 northbound. The vehicles who are on the reverted side, once they pass that intersection, there will be a crossover. And we'll bring those vehicles back to the westbound lanes of I-77. Again, there are 3 lanes traveling westbound and eastbound in that area, and they will cross over into 3 lanes, so you won't have an interruption due to a lane mergers. 3 lanes cross over into 3 lanes, so a smooth transition. What type of emergency services do we have along the lane reversal route? We have EMS, fire. They will be strategically placed along the route. We will have the South Carolina National Guard record teams to clear the roadway in the event that we have collisions. We will have aircraft, again, monitoring to give us that surveillance from the sky. We'll have DOT SHEP, the State Highway Emergency Program, to provide some type of roadside services. We'll have our troopers on line patrol in the event that something were to occur. Last year, I think we investigated 2 minor collisions on the reverted side. So it was a very successful operation. And last but not least, I would just like to offer some evacuation tips for our evacuees. The first would be know your evacuation route. You can go to the scmd.org website or the scdot.org website and ascertain your designated evacuation route. Second tip, be patient. Some of the evacuation routes may be at maximum capacity, and it could take you longer to get to your destination. And the third, but not least, be prepared. Ensure that your vehicle is properly serviced with a full tank of gas. Have an emergency kit that includes snacks, food, water, care items for kids, medications, toiletries, extra cash, flashlight, and a cell phone. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you very much. Rick Timmy, Director of the Department of Health and Environmental Control.
Thank you, Governor.
Yes, sir.
As the Governor stated, a mandatory medical emergency evacuation has been issued for all hospitals and nursing homes in the evacuation zone. This includes approximately 200 facilities that could be potentially impacted. Our EMS staff are working with these facilities to ensure the safe evacuation of the patients and residents. Governor, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Kim Stinson, Director of Emergency Management Division. Kim?
Thank you, sir. We'd already mentioned earlier that the SEOC is fully operational here in Pine Ridge. Our current priorities are evacuation and sheltering, and then follow-on priorities are response and damage assessment, and that'll be later in the week. We stay in fairly close contact with the counties. We have at least twice daily conference calls with them to determine any unmet needs or issues that they have at their level. Their primary focus also is evacuation and sheltering. And we are also, today we deployed our South Carolina Emergency Management Division liaisons to the coastal counties to assist with operations here over the next several days. We've activated our logistics contracts for commodities, general logistical support, and transportation. And if need be, we'll coordinate any out-of-state assets through the Emergency Management Assistance Compact, and we've used that heavily in the last several years. And then also in that area, the Winsboro warehouse is well stocked. It's got over 500 pallets of meals, 750 pallets of water, over 150,000 sandbags, and almost 10,000 tarps for temporary roof repair. Our FEMA Federal Coordinating Officer and a small advance team are already on the ground here in South Carolina to help us with anything that we need here again in the next several days. The Governor's requested a federal emergency declaration, which will allow us assistance from the federal government under direct federal assistance, anything from transportation to incident management teams, as well as potential financial support for debris management and emergency protective measures. Also mentioned earlier about everybody being their own personal emergency manager and having a plan. Already mentioned that we've got our website, scemd.org. The Governor's also mentioned our hurricane guide, which is available there as well, and also in paper copies. And then we also have the South Carolina Emergency Mobile app, Emergency Management Mobile app that's available that has all that information on it as well. In terms of the population that's going to conduct the evacuation, we've got a Know Your Zone section on both our website and our mobile emergency manager that allows you to type in your address, and then it'll tell you if you're in a zone, and if so, what zone you're in. So it's a handy tool that is both scmd.org and our mobile emergency manager app. We also have the, tomorrow we'll start operating the public information phone system, and that's at 1-866-246-0133, and we'll have operators 24 hours a day answer any evacuation or sheltering issues or anything else that you might have a problem with, and they can help you find the right answer. Also mention also the sheltering piece is the shelters will be open once the evacuation begins, and those locations are available in the full list, and that's updated live also on our website at scemd.org and also at the South Carolina Emergency Manager mobile app. If you go to a shelter, you'll need blankets, pillows, and comfort items, medicines, if you have any medications that you need to have. Certainly identification papers are always helpful, and then if you have any special food items for anybody, especially children, then you should bring those as well. Pets, service animals are allowed in the shelters, but there are some shelters that do accept pets. That information will be noted on the website and on our emergency manager app. And if you do show up with a pet at a shelter, then the people at the shelter will assist you in trying to determine what the best plan is for your needs. And then again, mention our hotline at 1-866-246-0133, and that also we have Spanish interpreters available as well. Sir, thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Just wondering how many people are expected to be included in this evacuation?
We're estimating right now about 830,000. are in those evacuation zones that the governor briefed.
I guess another question for you, sir. What time will the shelters open?
They'll open in conjunction with the evacuation, so they'll be open tomorrow at noon.
More questions?
People who are concerned about where their loved ones will go, who are being transported from the medical facilities, do we know any more information about that?
Yes. Dr. Toomey?
The hospitals and nursing homes and other facilities will communicate with the family members as to the destination where those patients and residents will be evacuated. All of the facilities have reciprocal agreements, and we can't say which ones will go where now, but as they are transported, family members will be informed where their loved ones will be destined.
And what about gas? Have we been monitoring the gas for people who are having to leave? Will they have those resources available?
Right. We've got close contact with the Office of Regulatory Staff, has very close contact with the various gas providers to make sure that that's all working. They'll go ahead and fill up gas tanks along the evacuation routes, so they should be all topped off. And so we've got a separate plan that ORS helps with to make sure that there's enough gas out there for everybody.
We don't see any problems with gas so far. Okay. Any more questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.